Hey everyone, I'm Casey Hollins and you're watching the Sportsnet Digital Dose. We've got Arden Zwelling from Sportsnet Magazine in studio to talk about the new Sportsnet Magazine edition that hits stands today. Very exciting. Obviously, Blue Jays on the cover. There's a lot of Jays preview stuff in this edition of the magazine, and it's very fitting because the home opener is literally right around the corner. I can't wait.
Funny how we timed that, eh?
Yeah, it's funny how they think of these things. So Arden has done quite a bit of writing for this edition of the magazine. First off, you wrote about Romero, who we have been talking about a lot lately because he's been struggling through the preseason, he's been struggling through spring training, and now he's been demoted, so to speak. And he's been a topic of conversation. He won't be come opening day, unfortunately for him, but he's had his fair share of struggles, and I know that you got a chance to sit down with him and really kind of get into his head a little bit.
I think it'll be a topic of conversation for quite some time this season because he's such an enigmatic character. But yeah, I spent 2 hours with him at his condo in Palm Harbor. We watched some NCAA hoops, and we just kind of talked about baseball and life and what he went through last year, and you know how he kind of mentally dealt with the struggles that he had on the mound. And so, you know, I can't give away too much of what's in the story, but there's a lot in there about kind of what he did away from the field when he's going through those struggles, what he did when he went home, you know, the sleepless nights, the conversations with, you know, friends and family, things like that. The stuff that you don't see, you know, when he's not in front of the cameras.
Did you get the impression from him that, I mean, everyone knew that this was hard on him and it's not fun for any athlete to struggle in that way, but did you get the impression that it was maybe harder on him than people initially think it is?
He takes it really, really hard. And there's a line in there that nobody takes this harder than Ricky Romero.
Yeah.
For all the fans who you know, take the losses really hard and live and die with the team and all of his teammates and the managers and everyone else, Ricky Romero takes this as hard as anyone because he puts so much pressure on himself to succeed. And a lot of that comes from his family and where he's come from, his Mexican family, his heritage. His father came to the United States illegally. He was smuggled over the border and had to kind of work odd jobs as he could because, you know, he wasn't a citizen. And, you know, when he eventually became a citizen, he had Ricky, and Ricky's kind of the first member of the family to have this level of success. So he puts a lot of pressure on himself to kind of support the Romero family and carry on that name. So he really takes it to heart when he doesn't do well, and the struggles that he's had, and especially getting demoted now, you know, that stuff hits him very hard.
Yeah. You get that a lot from him, how important his family is. He's always tweeting pictures, he's always visiting them and sort of bringing them up whenever he gets the opportunity. A lot of people maybe are not as fond of Ricky Romero and the way he handles these kind of things because it kind of seems like if he's having a bad day, he decides to respond to the haters on Twitter, which is something maybe that's not the most effective use of your time when you're going through struggles like that in terms of performance. Did you talk about that at all with him, or maybe how social media affects, or if it affects him at all? Because it seems like it does. The way he reacts to it, it seems like the stuff he's getting on Twitter about his performance definitely has an effect on how he's feeling.
I haven't seen that much from him. I know, like, for a lot of athletes, social media can be a really bad thing to be involved with. You look at Rebecca Marino, the tennis player who had to leave the sport entirely because she's very upset about things that are being said about her on the internet and through social media. I'm not sure how much Ricky pays attention to that stuff, and I'm sure he's trying to back away from it, especially now. But I do know that he hears the boos and he hears what people say about him. And when he was getting booed at the Rogers Center last year, he really heard that and he really took that to heart.
Yeah.
And his parents especially were really torn up that was happening because they had been to the Rogers Center when he was pitching well and 50,000 people were, you know, giving him a standing ovation. So to see that turnaround in just a year I think it was really a bit shocking for him. And he really takes that stuff to heart because he does love this city and he does love the fan base, even if they boo him. I mean, he really does want to perform for this franchise and this city that has invested so much in him.
It'll be interesting to see this season with the entire new overhauled roster, if they do well the way that they're expected to, if the pressure kind of eases on Romero, if he makes his way back up here and that kind of thing. Do you think he'll be back up here soon?
I do. I think he'll definitely be back up here. I think the franchise is committed to him. They've committed a lot to him since they drafted him in the first round, however many years ago it was, and they've given him a big contract. I mean, they've put a lot of resources into him. I mean, that's the kind of the common, you know, the strain or the narrative is that, oh, there's going to be less pressure on Ricky Romero this year. He doesn't really buy into that because he's never really felt the pressure from outside sources because he puts so much pressure on himself. And that's what he said. He said, well, what about, you know, in 2011 when I was pitching great? How come nobody talked about pressure then?
Yeah.
Right? How come nobody talked about pressure last year when everybody was going down and getting injured and I was going out and, you know, pitching 225 innings? So he's never really felt that pressure from anywhere other than himself because he puts so much pressure on himself.
Yeah.
That he thinks that anyone, you know, any other pressure could never amount to what I put on myself.
It'll be interesting. I feel like if the team this year performs the way that everybody's expecting them to, a lot of that pressure is going to be lifted off of him because he'll get to perform where he's not the person, he's no longer the person that needs to pull through and needs to win the games for the team. He can sort of do his thing without that pressure on his shoulders. I think that'll be good for him.
Well, I think the way he sees it is that not one pitcher can carry an entire team. It takes 25 guys, right? You're pitching once every 5 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so even if he won all of his 33 starts, that's only 33 wins. And you need about 90 to make the playoffs,
exactly.
right? So it's, you know, one guy can't really lift the house like that. I think that's the way he sees it.
They don't have that problem this year. Anyway, that's all the time that we've got. Be sure to pick up the new Sportsnet magazine. It's chock full of baseball stuff to get you excited. You got a few days now to get through the magazine and really get the blood pumping for the home opener on Tuesday. Anyway, that's all the time that we've got, but check back here in a little bit for another Sportsnet Digital Dose.